All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome. I'm Brandy Alexander from Tandemtide. We are an omni-channel commerce and performance marketing agency based here in Ohio, but we work with brands all over the country. And I'm so excited to be joined here today by Suze, and I'm going to let her do her own quick intro.
Sure. Thank you so much, Brandy, for having me. Excited to be here as well. My name is Suzane Skop, but I go by Suze just to make it easier on people. I'm from Instacart. I have been at Instacart almost 6 years now, came during peak COVID, and I lead our agency and API partnerships here. My team is responsible for the strategic relationships that we have with the big holding companies, our independent partners like Brandy's team, as well as our API partners like PackView and Sky. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know not everyone on the call is familiar with Instacart ads and really the opportunity from a retail media standpoint to leverage what you guys have. But a lot of people joining today are, CPG brands and live in that space. So I thought it would be cool if you kind of just started with a quick kind of overview, and then we can kind of
Sure.
dig into more specifics.
Sure. Do you want? Oh, great! You're flashing the screen. So the first thing that I like to call out, and we're often very misunderstood, but Instacart is not a retailer. We are a grocery technology company with deep enterprise partnerships with retailers, which has enabled Instacart to be the leading grocery technology company in North America. And our mission is powering every grocery transaction. And also, many people don't understand the scale of the Instacart ads ecosystem, which is why we are sharing this slide with you guys. But if you look over to the left, we have 2,200 retail banners, which translates into 100,000 different storefronts on our marketplace. And then if going up around the top of the clock there, we also power advertising solutions for 300 plus retailer owned e-commerce sites through our Carrot Ads technology. So you can see there Uber Eats, Hy-Vee, Sprouts, Thrive Market. We are powering their ad solutions, and our sales team is generating demand for them. And then going to 3 o'clock, we also support in-store advertising with our AI-powered caper carts that live now in 100 different cities. And then those three technologies give us a ton of rich first-party data that we use in our off-platform offerings. You can see there, we work across streaming TV, social media, search, as well as programmatic. So partners like Meta, Pinterest, TikTok, The Trade Desk, NBC Universal, Google, and Roku. You can buy the Instacart audiences on those platforms. So on Instacart, we connect the 9,000 brand advertisers that we work with high intent grocery consumers across all of these surfaces. And what's very unique about us is you can hit all of these surfaces in just one campaign. So we make it very simple for brands to buy across all of these different surfaces on Instacart.
That's great. So I'm just going to kind of leave that slide up as we dig into
Okay.
this, just for context. But, kind of tell me, how important is discovery in grocery today, and what role does Instacart play in helping shoppers discover, new products and brands?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that discovery is one of the most critical growth levers in grocery today, and Instacart has become a primary engine for that. We see that about 57% of Instacart consumers discovered a new brand or product in the past 3 months. And of those that discovered a product, 80% went on to purchase it. But I would say what makes Instacart unique is that our digital shelf is personalized to each and every consumer. So what's helpful for brands, especially emerging brands, is that we're really leveling the playing field for them. The products are matched based on consumer preferences. So emerging brands can position themselves with those larger household names that we all grew up with. At least I grew up with. And then another differentiator, which I talked about before, is just the sheer number of retailers on our platform. Brands really can drive discovery and trial at scale, all within that one campaign, where normally it would require them to work with dozens of separate retail media networks.
So if you're a brand and you might not be everywhere in the country, but maybe you're just in a few, markets here and there, you can still use Instacart, because Instacart is so intelligent with the data that, you don't even really have to worry about it. The back end kind of takes care of all of that.
The back end takes care of all of it. It knows exactly where your products are distributed, what stores, like what geo, what zip code your products are actually live. We're getting data feeds on a daily basis, even more frequent basis from the retailers. We understand exactly what is on the shelf. So it's geo aware. Essentially, we know where that consumer is. No one puts in a fake address for delivery. So we know exactly where that consumer is, exactly what stores are nearby, and exactly what is on the shelf in those stores.
Yeah, which I think is really key for when you're talking about emerging brands, for sure. So what new tools or insights? I mean, you guys are changing things all the time, for the benefit of your clients. What new tools are you providing brands to better understand campaign performance and shopper behavior? I think that's key.
Yeah. So the good news is, from a measurement perspective, we have moved well beyond return on ad spend. Our partners definitely told us that they needed proof of truly incremental growth. So we have built for that. And today we offer incremental sales lift measurement. We offer new to brand performance, as well as tracking to understand the impact all the way down to the household level. And we see, on average, for our on-platform campaigns, they drive on average about 25% incremental sales lift. And of course, we can't just grade our own homework. So we do also partner with third parties like Circana to quantify that in-store halo effect. And on average, we are seeing there a 21% in-store halo sales lift. And the other thing I would say is we are one of the first retail media networks with MRC accreditation. So brands get third-party verified closed loop measurement across every Instacart environment. And then from an insights perspective, we have, of course, all the media analytics right within our ads manager platform. But we also recently just launched sales and share data. So having an understanding of how you're performing. And then the other thing that we recently launched is our consumer insights portal. We call it CIP, CIP, which gives brands real-time visibility into things like promotions, basket compositions, any type of competitive dynamic. So it is giving them a much broader view of consumer behaviors on the platform. And that's all set up through a dashboard.
Yeah, and I think that's great, especially for emerging brands to really, kind of get closer to the customer in a really kind of lightweight way, an easy way through Instacart. So when you talk about the importance of brands, to be everywhere, that includes off-platform with social media and streaming video ads too. So talk a little bit about that, and then I have some flavor to add to that too.
Yeah, I'd love to hear your flavor. We all know this, right? The path to purchase is no longer linear. It doesn't only happen in the aisle of the grocery store. Consumer inspiration happens everywhere. So whether you're streaming, you're scrolling social media, I can't tell you how many things I've bought off TikTok, or you're searching online. Inspiration happens everywhere. And so for our Instacart off-platform capabilities, we let brands activate our first-party grocery purchase data across channels where consumers are already spending their time. So I already talked about the streaming TV on Roku and NBC Universal, social media channels like Meta and Pinterest, TikTok, and then also searching on Google. But what's really unique about our integrations with these guys is that we are plugging directly into existing buyer workflows. So brands and agencies can amplify their media that they're already running, all within their own seat or handle. They do not have to go into a new platform to manage that. And then, of course, the cherry on top of that is that Instacart offers delivery in as little as an hour. So off-platform inspiration can close the loop and translate directly into a purchase. And, you know, we've done a lot of case studies, but one of the first partners that we tested with was McCormick. And they ran a campaign using our conversion API on the trade desk. And so they used Instacart audiences and the conversion API, and they saw about like 34% were new to brand and 28% sales lift. And these numbers are pretty consistent on what we're seeing from an off-platform perspective.
Yeah, that's huge. And, you know, I think just to kind of round that out, what we're seeing on the agency side, you know, working with Instacart, working with TikTok, working with Amazon, working with all of these other channels, you know, I think having that brand consistency across all of it is key. But really how we leverage Instacart is also that retail component that nobody else can bring to the table. And that's why we love working with Instacart, because so many of our brands are, you know, digitally native. A lot of them are, but some of them and a lot of them, and that's really a growing space for us, is more on the retail side too. So
Yeah,
that's
helping
really
with that distribution. Yeah,
absolutely. So yeah, let's talk about, you know, another thing that I think is a hot topic right now and on everybody's mind is, you know, where does Instacart see AI kind of coming into online grocery, and especially, you know, that relationship between Instacart and ChatGPT, which we get a lot
yeah,
of questions about that.
yeah. Awesome. So I mean, to start, AI has been foundational to Instacart for years, but I mean, it powers everything from the personalization that we were talking about, the fulfillment, as well as the retail media performance. But we're definitely entering this new chapter with agentic AI. And so in December, you mentioned we launched the Instacart app right inside ChatGPT. And that made us the first grocery partner to offer an embedded end-to-end shopping and checkout experience within the platform. So consumers can now go from meal inspiration, right? They're getting their recipe to delivery at your doorstep without leaving the chat interface. We were talking about our daughters earlier. I have a daughter who's out of the household as well. She lives in Boston. I met her for dinner last week, and she was telling me about this amazing stuffed bell pepper recipe that she found on ChatGPT. And she didn't have any of the ingredients in the house. And she literally, within one click, got it delivered from Instacart to her doorstep. And if you think about her as a consumer, right, she is the next head of the household. So important for us to really be a big priority for us in 2026 is embedding Instacart everywhere. So this is a really important relationship for us. And then in terms of AI outside of ChatGPT, we use it for our in-store efforts. So again, the AI-powered Caper Cart, and this really bridges the technology and the personalization that we have built at the digital store or in the digital store or for the digital store, and we're bringing that into the physical store. So every single one of our AI-powered Caper Carts has a tablet on it. That cart is geo-aware. It has automatic item recognition. So you can literally like drop the product right into the basket and it scans it automatically for you. And then it tracks everything that you put in your basket. So you are constantly have a running total so that you can then have that seamless checkout. Future state, like you'll be able to ask that tablet, it's called Cart Assistant. You'd be able to say, hey, do I have everything that I need to make tacos tonight? Or are there any gluten-free products in my basket? Or are there any products that have gluten in my basket? And that's future state, what we will be able to do there. And then on the flip side, for the retailers, I don't know if you saw this, but we did have a recent announcement that we launched Instacart AI solutions. So these are things like what I was just talking about, the AI powered shopping assistance, in-store computer vision with store view. So we're seeing exactly what is on the shelf, and catalog intelligence to make sure that the retailers are keeping their catalogs as up to date as possible. And then all of that data then provides them back with real-time analytics. So in many cases, we know what's happening in the store before the retailer does, who is actually in that store. So they're finding those insights really valuable. And then for brands, for our advertising component, AI powers many of the tools that we have implemented within that ads ecosystem, really helping us to drive those measurable results, but more importantly, the efficiencies. So we have things like universal campaigns, which is allowing you to run all the different ad formats based on your KPIs in one campaign. We also have automated bidding based on what the KPIs that you have, as well as like one-click optimization based on the objectives that you're trying to accomplish with that campaign. So we're using it in a lot of different places.
So that is a lot, and it's incredible, and it's exciting to see, especially when you think about like the up and coming head of household incorporating this into their sort of daily routine. And I think that's a huge opportunity for brands. And I think, just from, what I think, some of my clients would be asking is, well, how can my brand influence some of that? And so, and that might be coming, but, for example, right now we can't advertise in Chat GPT. So there has to be, we're doing a lot on the generative engine optimization side of things, which is kind of, the new school of SEO, but how can brands like influence that in terms of, inserting their brand into that AI experience?
Yeah, I mean, from a ChatGPT perspective, again, that's all new, and like we're paying very close attention to kind of how people are getting to our platform, right? Like, what are those key levers that are getting them there? And it's still, on the smaller shot side, but we are definitely paying attention to that. I think the big thing that we're trying to do is just really be in close partnership with our brands. And, we have something called the Instacart Advisory Council, where we are literally bringing our brands in to get their advice on how we prioritize things. So making sure we're staying close to that and having a pulse on what they're saying. And we also do it for the emerging brands. We have something called the Challenger Roundtable, where we hear their feedback as well. But I would say, like, staying close to your salesperson. We're always giving voice of customer back to our product team to make sure they're hearing the needs of the customer. So I would say those are, and then of course we're our agency partners as well. Just making sure that we're hearing that from you, so we understand the key trends and can adjust for it.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good to know. And it's definitely a space that, we have our eyes on for sure. So as we think about, maybe you're a new brand, maybe you're not a brand yet on Instacart. Talk to me a little bit about, in your experience, what common mistakes do brands make when launching retail media campaigns on Instacart?
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple of nits here, but the first one, being that using the playbooks from other retail media networks to run your campaigns on Instacart, that it doesn't work. It's not a one size fits all. The Instacart audience is very different. They aren't spearfishing and doing a search for one item and getting it delivered to their doorstep in 1 or 2 days later. Our customers are mostly full basket shoppers, so definitely requires different campaign and different tactics. The other thing I would say, another big mistake, is still treating retail media as purely lower funnel tactic. I love that one of the first things out of your mouth was omni-channel. But retail media has evolved into this foundational layer across the entire marketing strategy. And the first party data that retail provides just doesn't just drive on platform conversion. It now informs audience planning across all platforms, whether it's streaming, social, or programmatic. And what we see is really the most successful brands on Instacart are leaning into that shift, and they're using the platform across the full funnel from inspiration, discovery, all the way through to conversion. And we've actually started to build out, we call it creative ad studios, Instacart ads studios. But we actually it's one of our biggest priorities is building out solutions that are truly full funnel for our brand partners.
Yeah, no, that's super helpful. And I think, if someone's just getting started on Instacart, there's kind of an easy way to get started, which is the sponsored products. And I think that's the place to start. And I mean, you guys have other opportunities for sure, but sponsored products really gets the game going.
It does. And then like the next easiest, closest, which is right in the middle of the funnel there and really allows for more discovery, is shoppable video and shoppable display. So it's like clickable right within the ad. You can make that conversion right within the ad. And then we've started to get more of the bundling and inspiration ads or recipe content that allows brands to go cross aisle. And helps for that inspiration to the consumers.
And I love the bundling aspect of things, especially because your typical shopper is a full basket shopper, and not, kind of a one-off situation. That's cool. So I'm going to see if anyone has any questions here in a second, but if you could give CPG brands, and a lot of people that signed up for this are in the CPG brand space, one piece of advice about winning in digital grocery over the next year, what would it be?
I know this isn't easy the way CPGs are set up, but don't put retail media in its own silo is what I would say. Really focus on building a connected commerce and media strategy. Again, we've talked about this already, but the consumer journey has changed. They're moving quickly and fluidly from inspiration while streaming or scrolling social media right into making a purchase on a retail site or a marketplace. So there's definitely an opportunity to connect those retail media signals, starting with like putting the consumer at the center and then building them into your planning and media strategy, and then connecting those moments in how you activate in a way that feels seamless to the consumer and for the first time measurable for a brand. So it's a great opportunity for brands to really activate across channels, or the channels where consumers are already spending their time using first party purchase data to reach the absolute right audience. And then the other piece is just like grounding decisions and the optimization into metrics that matter. It's not just a spray and play. It's definitely an opportunity for you to optimize based on things like, incremental growth and new to brand, so that like you're getting the right outcomes that you need.
Well, and I think that is also something that people that aren't as familiar with Instacart really need to understand, is that you've got the shopper data, right? You're not a retailer, but people are purchasing through you. And so you have that data, and that is key, I think, compared to some other, sort of, kind of digital advertising platforms. It's a little bit more native from that standpoint.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Awesome. Is there anything else that you wanted to add?
No, I think we covered a lot.
Yeah, we did cover a lot. One more thing that I wanted to add is something that we're really kind of keeping our eyes on and working on is video, and really expanding that video experience for the brands that we work with. all the way through, what we're doing from a retail media standpoint through live shopping. And we were chatting a little bit about live shopping. They're not quite there yet, but they're going to get there, I bet. We're excited to see sort of the evolution of the platform and where things go. And, we've seen my clients have had a lot of success on it. So that's why I wanted to kind of do this and kind of have you guys talk through some of the new things that you have coming down the pipe.
Thank you. I mean, thank you for your partnership. We really appreciate it. But I do think that, our Pinterest partnership and our TikTok partnership are fairly new. I'm really excited about seeing those pilots take off and the learnings that we get out of it. So that's a great opportunity in the video space as well.
Yeah, for sure. All right, awesome. Well, I'm going to kind of wrap it up there. And if anyone has any questions or would like to reach out, you can reach us at tandemtide.com, and we can definitely connect you to our team over at Instacart and get you guys set up if you're interested in advertising and sort of leveraging the platform in a new way that you haven't done before, or even just doing some optimization. Maybe you're just running a kind of a quick campaign just to test it out, and you really want to expand. As Suze mentioned, there's a lot of good opportunities for that. Does anyone have any questions? I just wanted to kind of make sure before we wrap it up. Okay. All right, cool. Well, thanks so much, Suze. I appreciate it. And I will also post this online, so you guys can check it out in the future and share that too.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brandy. Appreciate the time.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Bye-bye.